Hey, Monsieur. Hi, Jacob. Hey, RP Varela. Hey, Pardro. Hi, Ray. So today we'll be. I've got two new pieces that I've been working on that no one's heard before, and I'll turn this down a bit. New pieces that don't have any particular place for them yet. Hello, Salichi. And I was showing off the final version of the Deep Twisty Bridges music. It's like the first piece that I've finished like definitively, which is awesome. Hey, Revital. I can assure you, actually, there are no clowns, no creepy clowns on this today. I didn't have enough time to get pictures to put onto OBS to just flash to creep everybody out. As much as I'd love to do that. So on my Twitter, I posted a thing about Crinkles the clown, who's a character from an old cereal. He's like an old cereal mascot from the 60s, maybe the 50s. And I posted a thing, and then every night after that, at like around midnight, I post another picture on the same thread, and it's a little bit zoomed in on his face, and it zooms in a little bit more. I don't know. I'm strange. I think it's hilarious, but no one seems to like it. Hey, Thermobite. All right. Hey, clowns, but thanks for sharing. You're welcome. Yeah, no one likes clowns. Like, at best, people are indifferent to them. I don't know anybody who's like, man, I love clowns. Just doesn't happen. Hey, thanks for the follow. Clowns are going. That's what's going on. Okay, so this is. Hey, thank you for the thanks for the bits. Yeah, so I guess the big news today is that the first big update happened in Below Zero. So has anyone played the new update, the Sea Truck update? Because that I believe, I'm pretty sure that's the first update that actually has music from me in it. I actually haven't played it yet. I've actually been spending all of my playtime replaying the original Subnautica. Deep Twisty track is so creepy. Awesome. Yeah, I totally understand if you're not playing, if you're waiting for the game to come out in full. That is totally legit. Met the Squid Shark just as the creepy music started. Awesome. Hated the crafting process for the sea truck. I remember in early versions of the first Subnautica, a lot of stuff required those the shark teeth to get the enamel from them or whatever, and it was pretty obnoxious back then. And then they changed it. Not a whole lot needs it anymore, but it was rough. But that's why they do early access. Stalker teeth, that's it. Yeah, I haven't done music for Thermal Spires yet. It's on my list of things to do. Yeah, I'm really excited to try out the sea truck. It's funny that I didn't even know the sea truck, like what the sea truck was, until the update came out. I don't know why, but like I just didn't end up seeing it in on like the team communications. So when I finally saw it in like the trailer, I was like, holy crap, that looks amazing. Hey, Terradrill. Alright. So this, I believe, is the final Deep Twisty Bridges. Yeah. Because there's I added some water foam sounds to it. Yeah, I don't know how I missed the entire sea truck until it actually came out, but I'm using Cubase. Here, I'll make it a little more readable by taking out the loop. There we go. So this is the entire track from Deep Twisty Bridges. This is actually a lot different from what you're hearing in the game's update, because I added this to the update weeks ago, and now it just went live, and I've since updated the track. So this sounds a lot different from what you're hearing in the game right now. What you're hearing in the game is actually going to get split into several pieces and then expanded on in each of those. The original Deep Twisty Bridges track that is in the game now was sort of an experiment in different ambient styles. And we had originally planned on releasing the update earlier, and so I had the music done kind of early. And I've since taken the three sort of sections of the track and turned them into their own pieces. Anyway, the stuff for Deep Twisty Bridges is the first part that I expanded out into something that I feel is more appropriate for the area. Anyway, let's play it so you guys can hear the final thing. So yeah, there we go. That's the final version, and I added some water phone stuff you might recognize. Uh, Sounds similar to stuff we did last week. Ray asks, will we be able to buy the soundtrack once it's done? Yes. I don't really know how that's going to happen or whatever. That's coming in the future. Right now, all I'm concerned with is finishing, getting the soundtrack done. But yes, you will be able to purchase it. Pardrill Gaming asks, have you ever played the Sega CD versions of the Echo games? No. I played the Game Gear version of like Echo 2. Yeah, I had a Game Gear. It was awesome. Kind of. Hey, Sonic Buster. High five Game Gear. My favorite game on the Game Gear was probably Jurassic Park. That game was really awesome. It in no way resembled the movie, but I loved it. But anyway, this. Hey, thanks for the subscription disparity. Wow, 6 months now. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. So yeah, if you were here last week, we did a ton of water phone stuff, and it was probably my favorite. Probably my favorite. One of my favorite episodes to do of Music Workbench. It was so fun. But we did some like tapping and added like reverb to it. And so here you can hear some of it in this. There's some reversed bits, and here I'll show you. You'll hear it. So good, right? So I wanted to like kind of de-emphasize the water phone in the earlier bits. So like the Twisty Bridges music isn't going to have any water phone at all. This has a little bit of the tapping, and then as you get deeper and into further, more distant parts of the world, there's going to be more water phone. That's the plan anyway. Who knows if it will actually work out that way, but that's what I'm thinking right now. Here's a little bit more that I did. And yeah, some of it's been reversed. And it even opens with some water phone. Hey, thank you for the follow. Well, that's cool. I guess reminding people of Echo is not a bad thing, I'd say. Last level of the game, full water phone. Yeah, just nothing but water phone. Okay, so that is the final version of the Deep Twisty Bridges track. It's all done, thankfully. And so I have 2 new tracks that I started, and I wanted to share those. Let's save this. Hey, thank you for the subscription, Thermobite. 2 months in a row, nice. Oh, and hey, thank you for the host, Sonic Buster. All right, so I got these 2 new tracks. I haven't really determined what they will be for yet. So let's hear them, and I'll tell you about sort of my thinking behind them. All right, here's the first thing. This is really raw and doesn't really have, it has no structure yet. But I think there's a lot of potential in this track. And I'm very excited. I don't really, like I said, I don't really know where it's going to go yet. But I want to decide soon so that I can sort of, you know, have that help its direction. Yeah, it takes a while to load. In the meantime, feel free to ask questions. Like all my shows, I'm always here to answer any questions about music production, music writing, anything related to indie game development, indie game careers. There are no bad questions. Always happy to answer. All right, here we go. Okay, let me do a couple additional things. First thing is to set up this. That is to ensure that OBS can pick up the audio from this. All right, so question, where's Phoebe right now? I actually don't know where Phoebe is. I don't hear her. But my other intern is here. She's just hanging out. Hey, Maddie. Question, how's your day? Day's going pretty good. Music Workbench is always a great start to the day. So happy to be here. We've got a question here. How do you get the water out of the water phone when you're done with it? I imagine some droplets are left inside. Can it damage the instrument or something? You know what? So first of all, you only put distilled water in it, and I've just left the water that I poured in there in it, and I probably shouldn't. Most of it's probably evaporated out by now. I haven't used it in, I don't know, 4 or 5 days. But yeah, as long as you put only distilled water, that helps a lot. On like, it won't damage it. The only way to get the water out is you just tip it over and kind of move it around until it all gets out. What's on the docket for today? So today we're looking at 2 new tracks. This is one of them. And I'll probably do some work on these too today. Sonic Buster actually mentions a very common thing. Sonic Buster says, I'm getting ready to wrap up production on Miracle Mirror. Congratulations. I've been working on that soundtrack for 3 years. I'm terrified because I've had such a quality leap in that time that I can't improve it enough before release. I've had that before. In fact, any project that took like longer than a year to do, generally there's like a pretty big jump in quality between the very first track I worked on and like the latest ones. And I don't know, it's just something you kind of like gotta just roll with it. A lot of listeners just won't be able to tell the difference anyway. Gravity Ghost is a good example of that. There was like 4 years between the very first track I did and like the last one, and to me there's a pretty big difference in quality, but no one else has really noticed the difference. So maybe don't worry about it. Hoopa says, what's your inspiration for the music you make? Lots of inspirations, I guess. The biggest things that inspire me are, of course, other music, and weird as this sounds, novels. Reading books gets me really inspired for some reason, and those are like the 2 things that really get me excited to create my own things. Environment. Oh, hey Pogo. Hey, we got one of the dev team here. Cool. So this one, so Pogo asks, what sort of zone do you see this piece going in? So this piece is a bit more melodic, so it's not as creepy as the other tracks. I do have a creepier track that we're gonna show next, but this one, this one is more melodic, and it may even be too melodic. I don't know. And I kind of forgot what it sounds like because I worked on it a lot, and then yesterday, and only just that one day. So anyway, let's take a listen. Let's make sure it actually works here. All right, so it's like it doesn't. There's no structure to it. It just like shows you just hear one piece after another. So, I don't really know what I'm going to keep and what's going to be used in this. But so if you're ever wondering what project I'm working on at the moment, right above my head is a label up there. You can see it says today's project, Subnautica Below Zero, and what I'm working on. Yeah, it may be a little too FTL-esque. I'm not sure. This is the real core of it right here. So that's like where the rest of it all came from. I don't really know how the rest of it's gonna be. Sorry, Pogo, that you were sniped from that link. I always forget what's the command for allowing people to share links. I would appreciate it if you guys. I always forget the thing. We got raided by weird bots a few times when Joe and I used to play indie games, so we had to put that up. Not the good kind of raid. Oh, permit. Okay, and it's a permit. Like do like a / before it. I'm terrible with Twitch commands. we've got a good question here about networking and crystal caves. For some reason, I don't know about the crystal caves. It's not on my list of environments. Unrecognized command. Okay, yeah, it must be this then. We'll go. There we go. Oh, 180 seconds, that's it? I gotta give you more time than that. Oh, just a concept. That would be why I haven't heard about it yet. Okay, so we got a good question here. I'll play it again here we go. So like I said, there's no structure to this. It's just like one idea after another, which is how the sort of deep twisty bridges came about. It's just sort of this kind of technique that I'm doing now, where I just throw out ideas and then I try to come up with structure afterward. Okay, so Laserwolf asks, when you're networking at an event, say GDC, is it hard for you to talk to random strangers and devs and become friends with them? Or something that's always come naturally to you? Or are you usually introduced to them through someone you already know fairly well? So these days, I know a lot of people, and through them I get introduced to new people, and that happens a lot. However, there was a time when I was unknown, and yes, talking to random strangers is super hard, especially if you're like an unknown. It's hard to insert yourself into groups of strangers without coming off as weird or awkward. And yeah, it was something that I kind of struggled with for a while. It's good to have some people that you know already. Like, try to set up, if you're going to an event and you don't know anybody, but you do know some people from the internet, try to set up meetings with them. Like, if you've participated in a game jam or something and somebody who you've worked with on the game jam is going to GDC, send them a message on Twitter or something, and be like, hey, let's meet up. And inevitably, when you meet up with friends, you're gonna meet up with other people when you go to like the Metreon or whatever with them to just like meet up for lunch or something. They're gonna run into other people they know, and you'll get introduced to them, and in theory, it should like keep going from there. So that's like I think the best way to try to meet people. Just gotta start with a baseline of a few people that you know already, or at least people that you can meet up with. Okay, let me catch up with the chat here. Oh, he posted images. Oh, nice. I haven't seen this art either. I am saving this image. I have a little collection of Below Zero concept art and stuff. Hey! Thanks for the host. But yeah, I haven't picked an area for this. I see there's another question about that. I don't really know where this is gonna go. Although, Pogo is suggesting that maybe we do use it for crystal caves. It might kind of fit. Let me hear this again. Yeah. I can see that for the art that's there. Hang on, let me put up the art so everyone can see it if you didn't click on the link. Yeah, I can see that. I like the red and teal. That is a great color combo. How many hours of music is planned for Below Zero? We don't really have any plan for how many hours. We're just kind of adding stuff as we go. Time Traveler asks, I heard your music in the Twisty Bridges in the game and I love it. One problem, can you ask the devs to turn it up in-game? It's too quiet. Yeah, I can give some feedback on the volume levels. These days I know a lot of people, are you calling yourself old? I am a bit old on the indie scene. A lot of the developers in the indie scene are in their mid-20s, and I'm in my mid-30s. Oh, cool. Well, Sonic Buster, send me a tweet during GDC, and we can meet up and say hello. Introverts unite separately in your own homes. Hey, thanks, Joth. Thanks for stopping by. Sorry I'm so behind on the chat here. Oh, sorry, RP Varela. Let me give you permission to post something. There you go. Yeah, I'm literally older than the World Wide Web. Yeah, I saw that on Google. It was like, the World Wide Web turns 30 today, and I was like, ugh, that means I'm old. When I was born, there were 2 Germanys and a Soviet Union. That is true. So yeah, let's go over this thing. So the original thing, it started with finding this synth patch that sounded pretty cool, and I modified it somewhat. This is, I believe, an omnisphere, and it's really just a basic triangle wave with a ton of effects on it. And I actually ended up turning off some of the effects, but it's a triangle wave with a bunch of harmonies that kind of randomly go in and out as you're playing. So here, I'll listen to it. So yeah, it's like start hitting the keyboard here. I'm thinking of changing the camera setup so that like it's not pointing directly at me, and it would be like more to the side and down maybe, so that you can see my workstation in front of me. Don't really know how well that'll work, and I gotta experiment. But anyway, yeah, it's such a cool sound, and it has this really slow attack, and I think I even slowed it down more. But it has harmonies that one octave down, an identical sound, another one with an octave down, and one 2 octaves down, it looks like. Oh, and they're panned too, which is cool. We'll see you later, Rain. And bye, Jacob. So it uses LFOs to make the different harmonies go in and out slowly as you play it, and that's where it gives it that kind of big sound. And then, or that kind of movement. And then I, of course, added the Valhalla Room. Here's the channel strip here. Added Valhalla Room echo or reverb to it. And then I kind of wrecked it with EQ, because it's pretty harsh. Anyway, I love it. It sounds so cool. I need to keep tweaking it because it's still too... It doesn't quite sound perfect to me yet. So that's going to be a bit of a project, is cleaning that up, so I like it a lot. So that was like the first thing I found, and I was doing this sort of chord progression between... Is it 5? I don't know. I'm terrible with remembering all the music theory stuff. Maybe for next week I will... Well, I can't do next week because I'm going to be at GDC, so there won't be any Music Workbench at all next week. So yeah, it started out with this thing, and then this is when it sort of became something more interesting, was this So this was originally a preset that I modified a lot. It has like the marimbas, this part's basically the same. We can get this. And then this was like a synth part that was way different, and I changed it so it was another marimba. For some reason it's not working as well as it should, but anyway. And then I added this, close that, added this other thing from Omnisphere, which is just sort of a nice drone that's really low. This, I don't think I added anything or changed it at all. Just this. It sounds really good, and it's a nice, like, low. Can't use it like a lot because it gets really muddy, but it's good to have hanging below this thing. So there's that, and then I added this thing, which is just like a little. Hey, thank you for the follow. So that is another thing from Omnisphere with a bunch of effects added. There was more stuff to it as well, and I took all of it out. So it's a very, like, very pure thing. It had all of this, like, sort of bit crushing going on it, and it didn't. But I just like the bass sound of it. This I may end up modifying too, and I haven't really written much to go with it. It's another thing that has so much tail to it that it gets muddy if too many notes are played. So I have to figure out how to, like, reduce the tail enough so that you can play reasonably complex melodies, but not so much that it loses its character. And so far the only thing I have is this little 3-note bit. Hear it in just a second here. Thank you for the follow. And so this is the same sort of Celeste pattern that I've used in a lot of the other Below Zero stuff. Used it all over. And you can hear it in the trailer, you can hear it in Twisty Bridges, I think it's in Deep Twisty Bridges too. And so is this thing, this data stream, which is yet another pattern thing that I made in the Signal. Hey, thank you for the follow. This is actually two patterns. It's the synth part, and then I have this effect on it called movement, which is a new tool that I got, which is basically a rhythmic effects. Or not, maybe not necessarily rhythmic, but it adds sequences of effects to any sound. A little bit similar, I mean, it feels a lot different when you're using it, but it's a little bit similar to that sequencer Effectrix that I've used a lot, which I'm probably not going to use at all for this, for Below Zero, because I feel like I've overused it. No track name yet, Pretzel. I haven't really decided what this is going to be for. Alright, so then, this is really underdeveloped, but we've got a little bit of the sort of the digital percussion that you hear in the Twisty Bridges, the same instrument. That's literally all it is so far, so I haven't really worked on that much yet. And then this is a bass part with a new bass thing that I got. It's so when I got Exhale, which is the vocal samples that you may have seen maybe last week. You can hear it in the music. It's sort of like a major part of Below Zero's soundtrack is using this Exhale tool, which is a bunch of vocal samples with tools to go with it. Hey, thanks for the sub, Herbmuth. 6 months. Nice. Doing good, Herbmuth. So anyway, when I got that, I got it in like a package that also included this thing called Substance, which is it's a bass synth. And I was just sort of playing around with it to try to learn how to use it. And so I was like, well, this is really nice and clean sounding, and that's kind of what I want for the bass in Below Zero. I've been really struggling to find good bass that I like. But so far, the Substance tool has some really nice, like, clean bass sounds. So I don't even know if what I'm using right now will stay, but it's good for the moment. Anyway, it's just 2 basic chords. It's like 2 minor chords. And I'm going to hopefully turn that into a more interesting chord progression as I go with this. Like I said, this is very early. I have not figured out a place for this yet. One of the developers came on the stream a few minutes ago and suggested Crystal Caves. And we've got a picture of it here that they posted. So I feel like I have permission to post this, or put this up. So they're suggesting it's this area, which is just a concept right now. We don't actually have it in the game. Spoilers, sorry. So let's play it again. Now that you've heard all the parts individually. Oh, and then I did a little melody. Right before I stopped, I was like, I'm going to put in a melody to go with this thing. And that's what this thing is here. Unfinished, as you heard. Okay, so now you've heard all individual pieces. So let's play it again, and then you can kind of hear it all together. So yeah, unfinished, not sure where it's gonna go. But in the last few days, I've been thinking like I need to make more, just like more pure content, like raw, make more new music, lots of it, um, just so I can get ideas out there. I'd spent the last couple of weeks kind of refining the last two tracks, you know, the deep Twisty Bridges and Twisty Bridges, and just sort of polishing those, and I think it sort of slowed down my creative process. So now this week I've just been trying to like crank out all sorts of new ideas and not worry about refining them. So that's this one. I hope you like it. It's going to be a lot different in its final version. Again, I don't know where it's going. In the game, I mean. RP Varela asks, hey Ben, the original Subnautica had some more intense or action-oriented tracks to contrast with the more chill ones, mainly when the Cyclops engine caught on fire. Do you plan on making some tracks like those? Yes. We haven't really discussed like what parts we'll have. What parts will have like action bits, because we haven't really discussed it in a lot of detail yet. But we have said like, yeah, we kind of want to do. We had it in the original game, so we do kind of want to have some similar. Although, yeah, I just don't know what's gonna go in yet. Thanks, Pogo. Okay, I will call you RP. Thanks. Yeah, so yes, action stuff, there will be some of that. I don't have any idea how it's gonna take form. But yeah, it's been man, this has been such a fun project, and part of that is just that I made sure that I was doing no other projects at the same time, which is the first time I've been able to do that since before I was a professional at this. Like, every project I've done has been with other projects. Hashtag more reverb. I'm gonna look up that hashtag now. Yeah, so it's been really wonderful to just be able to work on this every day of my work, like of my work week, and not have to think about a million different other projects. And it has been such a cool experience. I have never experienced it as a professional, and so I love it. Also, how about when your sea truck is attacked when the intense music starts playing? Yeah, that could be. I don't really know how the intense music worked in the original game. Was it region specific, or was it just like creature specific, or situational, and it didn't matter what region you were in? I guess a lot of situation. No, well, I guess your Cyclops could catch fire anywhere. Anyway, I guess it's something I need to discuss with the team. Thank you for the follow, Pretzel. Yeah, so I've actually, instead of playing Below Zero, I've been replaying the original, because even though I played it a ton already, it's been like about a year since I last played it, and I realized like I wasn't really listening to the original soundtrack very critically before. I was just sort of enjoying the experience. So I'm going back and replaying it, which is great. I just love replaying it anyway. And it's cool to go back and listen to it more, like listen to the soundtrack more critically, and exactly like what pieces are playing where, and try to sort of pull apart like the reasoning behind everything and try to figure it out. Let's go to the next track that I have, which is more ambient and more creepy. So I gotta close this. This will take a minute or so, but so feel free to ask more questions. Time Traveler asks, have you ever accidentally confused ideas when you have multiple projects going? Like if you were to accidentally put FTL ideas into the breach. It's never really been well, yeah, I guess it has been sort of accidental, I guess. That's a good way to put it. You just sort of like get into a certain mindset for how to write something, and in some ways that was kind of cool. Because it was like one project was kind of a break from another project. But most of the time it was just like difficult, and yeah, like ideas from one would bleed into another. And that was kind of difficult. So, oh hey, Allie, catnap. Speaking of catnaps, get the cat cam going here. It's the Maddie cam. Oh, Pogo asked a good question. I would love to make some chiptune-esque music. Played piano for years, so I have a musical background already. That really helps, like a lot. And what software would you recommend for a newbie? I know you use Cubase, but I'm not sure if it's newbie friendly. Yeah, Cubase is not really newbie friendly. But then I don't think any music software is newbie friendly. So yeah, I'm not really it's a good question, and I'm still, as longtime viewers know, it's like something I struggle to answer with, because there isn't like a nice beginner friendly version of, like, at least not that I know of like a digital audio workstation. uh like there isn't a nice one for beginners. Not like in game development you can get like Game Maker, and it's like a really beginner friendly game development tool, or like Construct or something. But there's no equivalent like that. I guess the closest equivalent is band GarageBand on the Mac. So if you have a Mac, you can use GarageBand, and that's actually pretty beginner friendly. But not everyone can use GarageBand, right? Because it's Mac only. So I can't give that like a nice 100% recommendation. Pretzel asks, what is your favorite biome in both BZ and Subnautica? Ooh, that's a good one. I like the fields area in the original with like the red grass. Those places are pretty cool. And I also like any place that's kind of just desolate. There's like some like kind of hilly, rocky area that's kind of desolate, and there's not a lot going on, and it's really creepy, and I love that. Below Zero, I haven't really picked a favorite yet. So anyway, Pogo. Hey, Lid Flipper. Yeah, Reaper is free. A lot of people talk about Freeper on here. It's free, but it's like, I don't think it's very friendly. I think it's even less friendly than Cubase. Uh, the Music Maker and Mario Paint. That's not bad actually. I'd say that's almost like legit. I gotta set this thing up. I forgot before we hit play on this. I have been working forever to find like a beginner friendly digital audio workstation. If you guys know a good one that's like friendly to beginners in the same way that like Game Maker or Construct is for game developers, please let me know. Send me a message on Twitter. Yeah, hey Lid Flipper, GarageBand, yeah, definitely. Betbox and Pulse Boy I have not heard of. So this one started out. I took the same waterphone tapping recordings that I did for Deep Twisty Bridges, and I started turning them into. I started turning it into its own new track. Boden asks, Cat can't hear the music out of your headphones, or does it just get used to it? Yeah, I just don't. I think they can hear a little bit because these are open back headphones, but I just don't think. I think she just doesn't care. Doesn't notice. If it was through the speakers, that would be different. That would probably bother her. But yeah, so you need 3 things to do music on your PC. You need digital audio workstation. I use both Cubase and Ableton, and they're both great. Those are the only ones I have really any opinion on because those are the only ones I've ever used. There are $100 versions of both Ableton and Cubase that you can get. They're like the basic versions. So you want a digital audio workstation. You want a USB audio device. Focusrite makes really nice ones. I have one here. I'm just gonna show it here because I've got a couple of them. This one. This is a Focusrite 2i2, I think. You want one of these? You can get the Solo for really cheap. This is a 2i2. It's a little more expensive. The Solo is like also $100. So you spent $100 on a workstation. You spent $100 on something like this. This comes with drivers and it processes audio. It allows your PC to process audio way faster than it normally would. And you can hook up like a electric guitar or a microphone or something and record really nicely. These also, the Focusrite ones also come with, they also have preamps built in, so you can power microphone with them, or you can get a nice solid sound from an electric guitar. So now you've spent $200. You got your workstation, you've got an audio device, and then you need something to input music with. Some people say you don't need one. I think you really should have one. It's much easier to write melodies and to get sounds quickly, to go through presets if you have something that you can hit a button on it and hear a sound. So like a keyboard or a drum pad thing, something like that. You want one of those. And there are tons of those, and you can get small ones for cheap, also maybe like $100. Then you spend $300 and you have everything you need, pretty much. Each one of the workstations comes with sound making plugins, like already. Not great, not amazing ones, but they do come with stuff that you can work with, and it's usually plenty to work with in the beginning. So those are like the 3 things that you need. Yellow Gerbil, I like your name. What if fitting music started playing when you had a Leviathan near aggroing you, like additional layers? I kind of want to do something like that, because I love when I hear the Leviathan nearby, and you hear like the like, and you hear like the roar of the Leviathan. That's one of my favorite things in Subnautica, is like the creepy roar, hearing it in the distance. So yeah, I may do something like that. Maybe not additional layers, because that would be a ton of extra work. Like, that means I'm adding layers to stuff that I've already written. So if, like, depending on where the Leviathan is, it would need new layers for each piece of music. So maybe not that, but I don't know. RP asks, this is a good question. It is pretty important. As a musician composer, what precautions do you take in order to prevent hearing damage and hearing loss? I wear earplugs to any concert I go to. I never go to any live show without earplugs because those can be really loud and they can damage your hearing. Anything past a certain level, a certain decibel level, can cause hearing damage within like 30 minutes. It doesn't take very long to permanently damage your ears. So it was when I went to school for audio engineering, my little 2-year technical college audio program. That was the first thing we learned. Like, we didn't even learn any audio stuff before we learned about how ears worked and how to protect them, because kind of important. Earplugs on flights are good, yeah. If you work in an environment that's even kind of noisy, just like I used to work in a data center, and there were all the machines, all the computers were running, and there were AC units, so it always kind of sounded like the inside of an airplane. And I always wore earplugs when I was there too, because yeah, your ears are your most valuable thing when you're making music. You lose your hearing, you're kind of out of a job. So yeah, it's really important to protect your hearing. Don't listen to music too loud. You can listen to music loud, just don't do it all the time. Just do a little bit, and then, just don't listen to it really loud constantly. All right, let's listen to this thing since we've been talking for this long. So this is more ambient, less melodic, intentionally a little creepy, and it has some water phone tapping. So yeah, let's go with it. This is muted. This is just, I zoomed in on it so that I could see what was happening, so I could cut it. Everything else is like more of that audio. And this is turned down too, so you won't hear this part. All right, here we go. That's it so far. It's real basic. But it's, I feel like it's pretty effective, and I really like this kind of late thing that I added, which is just, it's kind of low note. I feel like it adds a lot. I think it's Book of Answers. Yeah, so that's a synth part. It's actually, you heard it in the last one. It was playing the melody if you were listening to the last one, the last track I shared. So this doesn't have a, it's turned all the way down right now, so you can't hear it. But I'm going to show you what my idea was for it. So I'm going to play it. I'm going to have my hand on the fader here, and I'm going to slowly turn it up and then down, and that was sort of the idea that I want, like the motion that I wanted for it. So that's the idea behind it. It would be like, it slowly comes in and out. I don't know though. It may be too melodic. I haven't decided whether I want to keep that part or not. Time Traveler asked, do you usually give your songs creative titles or just leave a basic name for them? When I'm doing game stuff, it's usually just like the name of the region or the area or whatever it's for. And then I come up with, the titles are usually like the very last part of the project for me, is like, I come up with proper titles for it. After it's all done, after the game is done, and I'm making the album, like I'm making the album to put on Bandcamp and iTunes and stuff. So yeah, the creative titles is like the very last thing that I add. So right, if I'm doing an experiment and I don't know where it's gonna go, I might come up with a creative name. Right now, this one's called Hubble Deep Field, just because it's kind of spacey. Ellie Catnap asks, yeah, I like the part, but it detracted from the creepiness and felt more like calm exploration. Right, that's exactly why I might not use it. Because I don't think it's cool, but it does change it into a different track. So, yeah, it'll probably won't, and I may take it and put it somewhere else. That's all. Also, this should be used for the methane ice cave. I don't know that one either. Okay, I'll call you Par. All right, let's listen to it again. So, anything purple is we're gonna put this away. That I'm gonna put it in a folder so it doesn't not distracted. Not distracting. Original recording. In here. We'll close it up so it's kind of out of the way here. So these are all parts of the waterphone recording that I did. And then this is an Omnisphere patch that I pretty much didn't modify at all other than adding reverb to it, the Valhalla room. It's fantastic. So this has no specific rhythm to it, which I don't do very often. So it's mostly waterphone taps. It's that Omnisphere part, and then this kind of that wonderful sound. So this will be longer when it's, when I have it done, it'll be a longer piece, and there may be other elements to it. I don't know. It's kind of nice, like, to keep it simple and not have too many instruments. Hey, queer German girl. Thanks. So yeah, right now it's just one chord. I believe it's a C minor chord that it's playing. Yeah, that's all the notes are pretty much just on the C minor chord. So we may do like change it up and do a different chord. Yeah, that bass part is so cool, right? I'm not even really sure. This was another preset and I just sort of layered a ton of reverb on it. I'm not really sure what it was, what it is originally. I don't even know what these sources are supposed to be. Well, one of it's an electric guitar. And then this is something from a synth. And then they probably did a ton of other stuff. It looks like they did some granular synthesis on it. Oh, they both have granular synthesis. And then they changed some other things too. A limiter. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I think I turned some of the things off in here. Or I got rid of them because I didn't like the sound it made. But yeah, it's nuts. I love it. Here's what it sounds like at higher levels. Also pretty awesome. It's got some harmonics going there that you don't catch in the lower levels. Yeah, pretty cool. But for this track, we're just going to use that low note. Sounds so good. And again, that has a lot of the Valhalla Room reverb on it. This is my new favorite thing. It adds some very lush reverb to a sound, and I got it specifically for Below Zero. So yeah, so we've got, it plays one chord. Start here, and we'll listen to this all the way through, and then I'm thinking, well, hang on, let's just play some notes from it. Thanks for the follow. So maybe we'll do something like that kind of movement. So here, you'll hear, well, let me play it again. So we got the first thing, which is the a minor chord, right? That's what the whole track is so far, just those notes. And then what if we did this, where we move to a major chord? Sort of. I'm actually not using one of the notes from it, but no, it's a minor chord. I'm sorry. It's a fifth up. It's this. This is a little easier to understand. So you'd be going from actually what we're doing on the other track. So maybe we won't do this. I don't know. Maybe. We don't want much movement because it's supposed to be ambient and in the background, so you don't want to have like too big a chord movement from one to the other. Par asked, do you have synesthesia? Synesthesia? I don't really know how to pronounce it. I don't really, I guess. I actually have very little, like, intuitive grasp of music. Everything I know about music, I sort of like just trained myself to hear, but I never had any kind of like easy, like, not easy, but like I didn't have any intuitive talent for music. It reminds me of Prowler's theme. Yeah, oh man, Prowler's theme is so good. That music's Daniel Pemberton, who is like one of my favorite composers now. He did the music for one of my favorite movie soundtracks of all time, The Man from U.N.C.L.E. If you haven't listened to the soundtrack to the movie The Man from U.N.C.L.E., it's really good. And if you haven't seen the movie, it's also really good. That's too much movement. If we go from this to that, I feel like that almost sounds like a melody. That's too much movement. So the cool thing with the hang on, let me load this up so you can see the keyboard or something. This is why we need a camera on the keyboard. So like, we still have to look at this thing on the side here. So we have so it's a C minor chord to an F minor is what I was saying is too much movement. But if we do this B flat minor, no. Oh, it's a G minor. So if we move from C minor to G minor, and I only do 2 notes of it, it's actually like pretty close to the original. Like the notes are very close to the other notes, the notes in the first chord. So it feels like it's moving less. It's a little more palatable for an ambient track, so maybe that's what we'll do. Lid Flipper asked, does Voxengo recorder capture from any DAW? In theory, yes. If your DAW supports VST plugins, you can use Voxengo recorder. However, Voxengo recorder is no longer updated, as far as I know. Not supported. So there's a chance that your DAW won't work with it, and then that would be a problem. Also, I had to convert it using JBridge from a 32-bit plugin to a 64-bit plugin, because again, not supported anymore. So it's already like just hanging on by a thread as it is. If you can find some other method to capture your audio from your workstation, I'd recommend probably using that instead of Voxengo recorder. As I've said before, I feel like Voxengo is like one Windows update away from being completely unusable, even though it works fine right now. Let's listen to this piece again. But what if we add like... Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, let's try that. I'm gonna go back a bit. Get the timing right here. Hit record. Now it's waiting for my input. That was actually a bit too late, so I'm gonna delete that. I need to get the... There isn't any rhythm to this, but I need to kind of get the timing rhythm of it, so I'm gonna go back a bit further. Hit record. Okay, that's a good start. And we can just combine these into one. Maddie is female. They're both kitties are they're sisters. I don't know where Phoebe is, but she's my other intern. Now it kind of transitions to a new thing. Like a new feel. But it still kind of retains the creepiness. Hey, thank you for the subscription. Do we want that to go up? I think I want this part to only be the one C note. I don't think I want it to go up. I want the other notes to kind of move, but then it always comes back to the note there. Oh, RP asked a good question that some people may have missed. I don't know if you commented on it, but why'd you opt to remove the Book of Answers bit? It just didn't fit with the kind of creepy feeling of the track. It was too melodic, I felt like. It may end up somewhere else. So, not entirely lost, but probably won't be in this track. It's a little too, like, relaxing sounding. Alright, I'm gonna play this again. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick, so I will be right back. And I'll put on the cat cam and play this one more time, and then I'll come back and maybe we'll listen to some of the previous tracks so people who missed them can hear them. Let's do it. Oh, yep, here we go. Sorry. Muted the microphone. Thanks. Yeah, Maddie doesn't like it when I leave the room. She usually likes to follow me around. Likes to be where I am, which is adorable. Okay, so would you is there were there people here in the stream? Did you tell them about the belly rubs? Yeah, we have a nightly routine where Maddie gets up on the bed after I get into bed, and then I give her belly rubs, and she passes out with her legs up, and it's adorable. Hey, Heather. So would you all like to hear earlier stuff that we did on the stream, just in case you missed it? I can play the Deep Twisty Bridges music, and I could play the other new bit that we did, the new piece that you heard earlier, that some of you heard earlier, and then we can wrap it up. Okay, yeah. All right, let's do it. So now you've heard this. Not sure where it's gonna go. Hey, Bazrin. All right, takes a minute to close these up and then load new stuff again. So feel free to ask questions while it's loading. So for those of you who missed it, this is the final version of the Deep Twisty Bridges music, which is not in the game yet. It's pretty different from what you're hearing in the newest update. Bazarin asks, how has the water phone recording been going? Pretty good. I love the sound of my portable Zoom recorder. This is what I'm using to record the water phone. It's a portable battery powered microphone with a pair of stereo mics, and not something you'd normally use to record this. It's supposed to be a field recorder, but I like the sound of it, and I like that it has stereo. It sounds great, but it does add a lot of white noise because it's battery powered. Generally, it's not an issue. Like, I'm guessing most of you didn't notice the white noise from the recording. I think you have to be kind of listening for it to really hear it. But anyway, okay, so here is... Oh, wait, I gotta turn on the recorder here. Start. Alright, this is the final version of Deep Twisty Bridges. It's finally done. It also has some water phone. In fact, it has some of the same water phone recording taps that you heard in the previous track we were just showing. Alright, here we go. So yeah, thanks everyone. I'm glad you like it. That is what you'll hear in the final Deep Twisty Bridges music. That'll be in the next update, I guess. I'm really happy with it. I think it's a good microcosm of what the full soundtrack will be like. Although I don't know for sure, you know. Don't really know what it's gonna sound like till it's done. So, okay. So that's this one. Let's do let's do the other piece, that other new piece. Save now. Now we gotta load up the next one. So feel free to ask questions. I'm thinking of doing a new setup, and I told you I'm thinking of doing new camera setups. But I'm also thinking of getting rid of the frame entirely and just having just camera stuff and the screen capture, and then put other things over it. But yeah, I don't know for sure. Oh yeah, also, by the way, I will not be able to do a show tomorrow. I have to go to the doctor. So no music workbench tomorrow. Hopefully maybe later the week I will do it. Maybe Thursday. And then I already lost my train of thought here. Let me get this going. Too much stuff happening at once. Hey, thank you for the hosting. Okay, so we got a bunch of questions here. Bazrin asked, "Did you end up managing to salvage the FTL remix track?" No, I didn't. I actually didn't even work on it last week. I don't think I'm gonna be able to salvage it. I think I'm gonna give up on it and do something new. Semifredo asks, "Why are you using Cubase 7.5?" Because I haven't updated to the newest version. Obraxis asks, "What do you think of doing some tracks just for the jukebox?" Yes, I hope to have at least 3 tracks that are unique to the jukebox. I even have some vague plans for what they'll sound like, and I'm not going to give anything away. Hamd Mulder, did I get that right? Was music always the thing you thought would be your job? No, I kind of felt when I was a teenager and a kid, I wanted to get into game development somehow. And when I was a kid, I was designing card games and programming games, doing a lot of game design stuff, and also doing a little bit of the art, and dabbling in music as well. Music's just the thing that I stuck with. That's really all there is to it. Jacob asks, "Do you have any other jobs, or do you do music full-time?" Full-time. I do music full-time. Also, how many different commercial projects are you working on at the moment? Just one, which is for the first time ever. We were actually talking about this earlier. Right now, I'm only working on Subnautica. Oh, Maddie's here. Hi, Maddie. Looking for attention. I don't know if you guys heard that, but it was amazing. Turning off the noise gate. Maddie. That's Maddie. Yeah, so right now I'm just doing Subnautica, which I love. And I have multiple projects going on at once. If you want to know what games I've worked on, you can go to my Bandcamp page, benprunty.bandcamp.com, and you'll see every soundtrack that I've done and a bunch of solo albums that I've done in my spare time. Yeah, Matt, we're pretty sure Maddie is part bird because she makes a whole bunch of different noises and none of them are meows. And they're all very high pitched. We were totally shocked when we first heard her voice when we were bringing her home in the car. And she cried for the first time, and we were just like, what is that sound? It's adorable. Even though we felt awful that they were so scared. Okay. So this is the other piece I'm doing. Again, not sure what this is for, or what this will be for. So, and it's also very early, undeveloped. It just sort of moves from one part to another. There are no transitions, no structure to it. Just think of it as ideas coming at you one at a time. So here we go. Okay, so yeah, it's not as creepy. It's deliberately more warm. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't even know what parts will stay and what parts will go. To me, this part here is like the core idea of the music. And so everything's gonna like revolve around that, I think. Like I said, everything else is like expendable, I guess would be a good way to say it. Jacob asks, don't mean to pry, don't answer if you don't want to, just curious, but how much do you usually earn for a project? Not looking for any numbers, just general magnitude, I guess. I'm just wondering how all that works in the music industry. So I can't really answer how it works in the music industry because it's different for every composer and it's different for everyone, and I don't actually know what others make. I only can tell you what I do. And so it doesn't necessarily give you an idea of how much composers make. I am really lucky in that I got attached to a game that became a huge mega hit, which was FTL. If FTL had never become a hit, you would have never heard of me. I probably would have remained in obscurity and may not have been able to earn enough money to stay in the industry. So, yeah, like my learning about payment from me is going to give you a skewed idea and maybe the wrong idea. I'm really lucky. I do really well. I support myself 100% on my music, and I work for myself. But I get, so about income. So when I'm charging for a soundtrack, these days I tend to charge about, I'm going to say 12 to 1500 US dollars per track. That is a very low base, like a baseline. There's usually more stuff going on in the contract. It can totally depend on it. I will take less up front if I can get I'll take it less up front if I can get like a revenue share on the game itself. Essentially, like I get a portion of the earnings from each game copy of the game sold. And sometimes I will do a flat rate and then add a bonus at the end or something. So it can be a lot of different things. The other thing that's very important to remember when I'm telling you this is that I also make money from album sales. And some of my albums are on Steam, as you may know. FTL, for example, the soundtrack is available on Steam right next to the game. Now, when someone buys that soundtrack on Steam, that money goes directly to me through Valve, through Steam's service. And so that is another source of income. Anything on Spotify that's got my name on it, I get income from that. Everything that's sold on Bandcamp, on iTunes, on Google Play, all these things are income sources from me. So I have this constant stream of income coming in, whether I'm working or not, and that actually affects a lot of my decisions that I make. So I can afford to take less money up front for like a project because I will have revenue coming in all the time. But yeah, if it's a major project where I'm doing like a full, at least like an hour of music or more, and it's like, you know, a big game, I'm going to be probably asking for no less than like somewhere between $20,000 and $50,000 to do it. And then, but again, every contract I've ever done has been different. So you got to remember that it's like there's no like standard or average, and I couldn't tell you what other composers do. I can charge that much because I have a good amount of fame, and I am somewhat in demand, and I have lots of fans in the game development community. So I do really well, but I also got really lucky. So do not use necessarily what I do as the standard, but also remember that music has value, and like people should be valuing the soundtrack more. And so, you know, when you are asking a developer for payment, remember that like they should be valuing the music, and if they don't, maybe you don't want to work with them. I'm working on a Twitter thread about this exact thing. It's actually nearly done. Maybe I should finish it this week and just post it. There's basically a lot of the same things. I'm hearing Maddie again. Okay, so I hope that helped. Let me go back and check on this other stuff. Octorob asks, any advice for beginners? Always done music on and off, but this year is the first time taking my writing seriously. My best advice is to just write a lot. If you're a beginner, just write a bunch of things and don't worry about them being good. Like, just make a minute-long piece. Just stop working on it after, I don't know, a couple of days working on it. I'm not really sure. Work on it for like 6 hours or something, or 8 hours or 12 hours. Then stop, move on to another piece, and make a new thing in a different style. And just keep doing that. Make lots and lots of pieces. You will get better really fast. Oh, you're welcome, Tanami. Thank you for all the kind words. Tanamia? Uh, Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but thanks for telling me all that. Listening on Spotify is a totally legit way to support me. I make money from that, and pretty good money, so thank you again. I will check out that hashtag, the what's music worth. That's kind of cool. It might actually help with my Twitter thread. Radical Edwards says, speaking of FTL, I'm currently searching to buy a vinyl edition, but it seems very hard to find. Any suggestion? Love your work on this game. There is a vinyl version. It is out of print now. But I have several copies, and in the future I will be giving some away, so hopefully that'll be one way to get it. Otherwise, I don't really know. There's not, like I said, it's out of print, so Semifredo asks, do you still get revenue from FTL and Enter Breach? I get revenue from album sales, because I own the music. Salichi asks, Steam takes 30% from game sales. Is it the same for album sales? Yeah, Steam doesn't really make any distinction between games and albums, so it just takes the same cut from everything. Go to work for at least 4 months on it, right? Yeah, I'm gonna work for more than that on it. I'll probably be working on it for the next 8 months or so. But the Below Zero, my contract with them is pretty. I'm doing pretty well, and it's worth it for me to work on it for a very long time. 'Bazron asks, have you heard Metroid Prime 2 music? You know, I played Metroid Prime 2, but I don't remember any of the music. So, I mean, it was a while ago that I played it, so yeah. %30 is a huge cut, and that's why the all these new stores have been popping up, because it's sort of in response to Valve. It's been a big point of discussion in the last year or so in game dev, is dealing with Valve and Steam and their sort of monopoly on the industry, and the fact that they take so much. They take such a huge cut, and and it's not really fair to small developers to take that much when they don't really make that much from it. So now Epic's got a store. EA sells all their stuff on their own store. Discord's got a store now. And they all have a way better deal than Valve does for the developers. And it's cool to see the industry changing now and seeing more options for smaller devs. Right now, it's still worth it to release on Steam just because there's such a huge audience on there. But I believe someday, in like 4 or 5 years, I think that it won't necessarily be worth it to release on Steam, because there'll be just so many options. But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I put my music everywhere, because I don't want to be relying on one company's service uh, for my income. Because I don't want like one service to die and then that takes all of my income with it. That would be really bad. So yeah, so it's really important to like make sure you've got a lot of income streams if you're independent like me. Yeah, Itch.io is also great. It doesn't really have a very wide user base though. That's one of the problems for like if you're trying to make a career out of releasing digital stuff. Itch.io is great, but we need more people on it. Hi, yay for Nuke. El Canard asks, will you put the Dark Side Detective soundtrack on Spotify? Yeah, you know, one of my goals this week, one of my tasks this week is to get some new stuff onto Spotify. The only reason Dark Side Detective is not on Spotify is just neglect. I just haven't done it yet. I've been so busy with other things. But yeah, that's the plan is yes, and I just need to actually do it. When you run your own business and you do everything yourself, a lot of stuff gets left behind. A lot of tasks get sort of thrown aside and don't always get everything done. So yeah, I hope this stream has helped. And I hope the answers have helped you all at least a little bit. I know that making music for games is a tough career both to break into and to maintain. I want to keep emphasizing that like I was really lucky. That's why I am able to do this, because I happened to know someone who knew someone who was working on FTL, and they liked my demo and I worked on it. And then it became this unexpected hit. We had no idea it was going to be huge. We thought no one would like it because we thought that a spaceship roguelike was too obscure a genre or too obscure an idea to really be a major success. Because back then, there weren't as many indie games covering every possible niche like there is now. So, yeah. I just think it's important to remember that I got lucky. And while I want to encourage you to try and make music, and if you want to make music for games, definitely make an effort. But also know that like chances of being like me and being like financially successful, it's pretty low. And I know it sounds discouraging, but you can do a lot of things to like increase your chances. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I guess we will cut it here. Oh, Phoebe's here, the other intern. Cat cam. So yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for coming by, and thanks for asking good questions. And yeah, I won't be able to do a show tomorrow. But Maybe on Thursday, if I'm got the energy for it, I'll be back on Thursday and we'll work on something. Maybe I'll do more Below Zero stuff. I don't know. But yeah, feel free to ask me stuff on Twitter. If I missed a question, I'm sorry. You can feel free to go on Twitter and ask things, and I will see you. I'm going to be out next week because of GDC, so no show on next week at all. But yeah, I'll be back after that, and we'll do more shows. Maybe I'll do some live stuff on the show. I don't know. Could be really cool. But I will see you guys hopefully on Thursday, and if not that, maybe on Friday. No show tomorrow because I have a doctor's appointment. But yeah, sometime later this week, hopefully. Anyway. Thanks, everybody. And I will see you all hopefully later this week.